Good evening and welcome to the St. Charles Parish Council meeting on Monday, March 7, 2022 at 6 p.m. in the council chambers in the parish courthouse. Please silence all electronic devices and remove all hats. This meeting is called in order with a prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance from Pastor Chris Housewright with the Grace Point Church in Destrehan.
Let's pray. Father God, we come to you tonight as this meeting is being opened, and I pray tonight for these men and women that are elected to serve our great parish and the good people here. And Lord, I pray tonight that you would just give each person here wisdom as things are discussed and things are made plans. Lord, we pray that ultimately that you are glorified, and we ask these things now in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate that. Approval of the minutes. A motion and a second is needed to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of February 21st, 2022. I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca and a second by Ms. Billings. Please cast your votes. That passes with 7 yeas and Councilwoman Cormier and Councilman Gibbs absent for the evening. Special business, proclamations, canvass returns, etc. 2022-0058. In recognition, Destrehan High School Dusty Darlings Competition Dance Team. Whereas the Destrehan High School Dusty Darlings Competition Dance Team competed in the UDA National Dance Championship held February 4th through 7th, 2022 at the ESPN Wide World of Sports Complex in Orlando, Florida, and whereas in the aftermath of Hurricane Ida, competition for this season seemed out of the question for the Dusty Darlings because many of the dance team's performers had lost their homes, and the high school itself incurred significant damage. But this team was quite determined to return. And whereas prior to the national tournament, the Dusty Darlings captured first place in the UDA region competition and won the sweepstakes in the American All-Star State competition. And whereas for the first time in school history, the Dusty Darlings earned UDA national championship honors, capturing the top position in the small varsity game day competition. They came in 4th in the nation hip-hop and placed 16th in the nation in jazz. And whereas the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the parish president wish to recognize the outstanding performance of the Destrehan High School Dusty Darlings competitive dance team. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the parish president, do hereby recognize Destrehan High School Dusty Darlings competitive dance team, 2022 UDA National Dance Team Small Varsity Game Champions. Ladies, I'm going to apologize if I mess some of your names. We're going to work this out. But we'd like y'all to come up as I call your name, and we'll take a picture. Miss Kaylee Carrigy, I'm sorry. Yeah. Delia Powell. Lauren Dugas. Maria Lockwood. Marilyn Glore. Brianne Robichaux. Carly Johnson. Abigail Punch, Bailey Whirlin, Malala Benedict, Jay Powell, Jordan Posey, Jakaya Sanchez, Kelly Keller, Aubrey Priku, Madison Eugene, and Cameron Agora. Our director is Ms. McKay Boaz, and assistant director is Ms. Layla Rufflin. Okay, see y'all later.
It was a practice. It was a practice shot.
Superintendent took a good picture.
They just look so good. You had
There
to.
you go, ladies. This is a proclamation.
It's all right.
One more. Alrighty.
Thank you very much.
It is.
We'd like to thank you very much for taking the time to honor us. We are very excited and humbled to represent this wonderful parish and the support we get from the community. Thank you very much. We are deeply grateful for this recognition. Thank you.
Ladies, well done. Well done. Okay, next our agenda, 2022-0059, proclamation, Retired Teachers Day in St. Charles Parish. Ms. Cooley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Proclamation, whereas Louisiana's retired teachers have devoted their careers to the education and training of tens of thousands of Louisiana's youth, and whereas Louisiana's retired teachers have provided job and social skills training for adults throughout the state, and whereas Louisiana's retired teachers have rendered valuable service in diverse leadership roles to their communities and institutions throughout their careers and continue to render such services as retirees. And whereas Louisiana's retired teachers represent the profession which is given the basic responsibility for launching the careers of state and national leaders and for laying the foundation for the welfare of all members of our society. And whereas Louisiana's retired teachers have toiled ceaselessly to improve the quality of life in the state and nation, often in less than adequate circumstances and for less than adequate pay. And whereas Louisiana's retired teachers represent a tremendous pool of experience and training which remains dedicated to the betterment of our society everywhere. And whereas Louisiana's retired teachers represent a loyal, patriotic, and concerned citizenry which provides a dedicated and dependable support to the leaders in our communities, state, and nation. Now, therefore, be it resolved, we, the members of the St. Charles Parish Council and the Parish President, do hereby proclaim Thursday, March 17, 2022, as Retired Teachers Day in St. Charles Parish. Billy Picard's here to receive this, and my dad was a retired teacher after being a teacher for many, many years, and I think a lot of people here may still remember him. So thank you for your service to our community.
And I'll be quick and brief. As president of the St. Charles Parish Retired Teachers Association, and on behalf of the retirees in St. Charles Parish, including one of your council members, Ms. Gordon, I would like to thank you all on behalf of all of us for recognizing us and proclaiming March 17th as Retired Teachers Day. Thank you.
Okay, reports, finance and administrative activities. 2022-0065, Library Board of Control. Ms. Benedict.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Leanne Benedict, and I'm the director for the St. Charles Parish Library, for those that don't know me. Thank you for having me here tonight to do my annual report. So the last time that I presented to you was exactly 1 week before Hurricane Ida hit our parish. So I figured what better place to start than to tell you a little bit about how Hurricane Ida has impacted the library. All right. Technical difficulties. Okay, there we go. All right. So the morning after the storm, our facilities maintenance team were on the ground surveying the damage to our branches. Our East Regional Library had a lot of trees down, a few small leaks in the building. We did have one tree, a large tree that fell on our building over our children's room, but thankfully it didn't actually do extensive damage. So that was good news. Our St. Rose, Parity, and Hahnville branches had minor damage. Trees and fences down, some minor leaks, but nothing that impacted us reopening those buildings. Our Norco branch had a little more damage. They had some damage to the roof, our exterior sign, the AC unit. You can see on one of those pictures, the hurricane actually blew one of our outside AC units off the cement pad. But thankfully, with the flooding that Norco had, our building sits a little higher up. We did not have flooding in that building. Our West Regional Library, unfortunately, had the most extensive amount of damage, though, of our branches. Half of the roof blew off of the second floor, and an entire wall fell down on the second floor. And the picture on the left is the side of the building that runs along Lakewood, and you can see that second floor. The picture on the right is taken from the first floor roof, and you can see that entire wall that came down. Our Louisiana room, our meeting room, and then the back half of the first floor of the library had extensive water damage. And here you'll just see a few more pictures of the West Regional Library and the damage to it. In the days that followed the storm, our team worked closely with the parish and quality janitorial and restoration services to begin mitigation efforts. First priority was the Louisiana room. Just days after the storm, our staff began removing items from the Louisiana room collection. Most of that is irreplaceable. We contracted through quality with a company called United Drying, and the staff went in and pulled out all of the items for the Louisiana room collection, carried them down the stairs, inventoried everything. They were put on freezer trucks, sent off to Delaware, where they currently are to be cleaned, and hopefully we're going to be able to get those back restored and ready for use. We're expecting to get those items back, hopefully in the next couple of months, and temporarily planning to house them at our Hahnville branch to make them accessible to the public. We also had dehumidifiers that were installed at the West Regional Library, and our facilities maintenance team used a smaller dehumidifier at our other branches to ensure that we didn't lose those collections too. And this is just a few of the pictures of what West looked like during that time. In the days and weeks that followed the storm, we worked to save as much of the West Regional Library collection that was in the damaged area of the first floor. A good bit of our collection sits underneath that second floor area. Thankfully, the majority of the collection was actually salvageable. Our staff came in, many of our staff came in those weeks, despite damage to their own homes, no power. They came in and one by one inspected every single item, looking for moisture or mold on them, and anything that was good they pulled into the front section of the library. Over a couple of weeks, we re-inventoried those items just because we wanted to make sure that no mold growth was seen on any of them, that we hadn't missed. And then once we'd done that, we actually boxed up those items and moved them to storage so that when the repairs are done, we'll be able to move that collection back in. So just to give you an idea, the West Regional Library's total collection is a little over 60,000 items. Items damaged, 2,447. Louisiana Room's items salvaged, 3,706. The items that we saved that were damaged off of that back section of the first floor were 13,853 items. Had our staff not come in, had we not had those dehumidifiers, we would have lost that entire collection. So I'm grateful to the staff, and I'm grateful to the parish for all the help that the parish gave us. I'm happy to say that all of our branches are back open again. About 4 weeks after the storm, we opened up the East Regional, St. Rose, Parity, and Hahnville branches. About 5.5 weeks after the storm, we opened up the Norco branch. And then just last week, we were able to open up the West Regional Library and Planetarium. The front half of the building did not have much damage to it, and so we are very happy to be able to invite our patrons back into the West Regional Library. So what's happening now at the library? In 2021, we did away with overdue fines. We're no longer charging patrons overdue fines, so if patrons have things that have been sitting in their house for a while and they've been afraid to return because of the fines, they can bring them back. There'll be no charge. We are also not charging fees for materials damaged by Hurricane Ida. So if there are patrons out there who have lost materials due to the hurricane and they haven't contacted us yet, we encourage them to just give us a call so that we can wipe their records clean. We have free Wi-Fi in all of our branches and parking lots. We also have hotspots that are available to be checked out. We have curbside pickup available. I'm happy to say our meeting rooms at all of the branches except the West Regional Library are open and are available for use. We have study rooms at all of our branches except Hahnville. In-person programming is back. This is something that, because of COVID, we had to stop doing for quite a while, but we're back. We've got children's, teens, and adult programming at our branches, and our planetarium is back open as of last week. Our bookmobile service is running. It's available to daycares, senior centers, and individual homes with priority given to homebound patrons who have physical or medical limitations. One of the things that came out of Hurricane Ida is the German Coast Farmers Market has permanently moved its Saturday market to the East Regional Library parking lot. They're there every Saturday from 9 to 12, and that's been a great partnership for us. And we're preparing for our summer reading program, which will run June 1st through July 31st, 2022. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on statistics this year. The last couple of years, because of COVID and the hurricane, we've seen a dip in our usage. However, we're starting to see an increase again. You can see from here that very top line is our total circulation, so both physical materials and digital materials. There was a dip in 2020 because of COVID and our closures, which was to be expected, and we've seen a slight increase in 2021, and that's despite West Regional Library being closed for 4 months of the year. And us being closed for at least a month at all the other branches with the hurricane. The line below that is our physical collection. We had a pretty big dip in 2020 to circulation, but you can see that that's increased in 2021, and we are hoping to see a nice increase in that in 2022. And then the two lines at the bottom, those are our digital resources, and you can see that those pretty steady. We had a slight decrease this year in our ebooks. But those have maintained pretty steady usage. So we'll look forward. Hurricane recovery, we are working closely with the parish on getting bidding put out, getting specs done for the West Regional Library, and getting bids for the rest of the repairs to our branches done. We have plans for a new Hahnville branch. We bought property across the street from here. Right now we're working on getting that house demolished, and then at some point in the near future, Hurricane Ida's put a little bit of a delay in that, but we'll start plans on working for a new Hahnville branch. We're working with the St. Charles Parish Public School System to implement e-cards for the students so that they can use our digital resources for free. Again, Hurricane Ida put a bit of a delay on that, but we hope to have that available by next school year. And we're going to continue to expand and grow our services to meet the needs of our community, as well as making necessary upgrades and improvements to our existing branches. You can keep up with what's happening at the library through our website. We have an app that you can download through your app store. We're on all social media platforms, and then, of course, we have our monthly newsletter that comes out every month. I want to say thank you to the Parish Council, as well as the Parish Administration and your administrative team. We couldn't have gotten through this past year without you all and your support. So thank you, and we invite you all to stop into any of our 6 branches. They're all open full hours now, as well as using our digital resources. And if anybody has any questions about the library, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Benedict. Anybody have questions? Mayor, Ms. Cooley?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The failure of the wall in the West Library, was that determined to be a problem with the construction or the design, or was that just weather-related?
As far as we know, weather-related. That wall has been there since it was built, and the second-story addition was added, I believe, in the 80s. So I don't know.
So
As far as we know, it was weather-related.
Was there any kind of, because the whole wall fell, it wasn't like a piece of it fell.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if it was, did the insurance company or whatever?
I'm not sure the answer to that.
I have Darren, did you want to come up and address that? I will say that if you pass by while he's coming up, if you pass by the West Bank Regional Library now, you can see that we've actually modified the roof there. It's no longer a flat roof, which caused a lot of issues with water intrusion there. So you'll see a kind of a more sloped roof, which we think will help. But for the wall,
And they're
I'll turn it over to Darren.
continuing on doing the rest of the repairs to it. They are looking at that wall to see if there was anything that was maybe out of place and why it failed. And if there is, they are looking to make changes to it if there is, to strengthen it so it won't happen again.
So there is some type of effort to
Absolutely.
correct if it
Yeah.
is a construction
Yep, absolutely.
problem. I have a couple other questions for Ms. Benedict. What was lost in the collection? You said that there were
Books,
many items.
so actually, the losses that I told you about were books, audiovisual materials like audiobooks. We did also lose the shelving and furniture that was in the back half of the building and on the second floor as well.
Okay, and is there any plan to replace the items that were lost or?
Yes, we are working with our building insurance is through the parish, and then our content insurance is through the library. So I've been working closely with our content insurance adjuster on all of that. So yes, we will be replacing, we've got the books in storage that we were able to salvage, and then once we are able to move back into that section of the building, we'll be looking at replacing those items that were lost.
All right, thank you.
Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Benedict, I'd just like to thank you and your staff for all of your work throughout the year, and also the board members who volunteer their time to come to the meetings. I did have one question piggybacking off of Councilwoman Cluley's. I saw the number for the Louisiana collection salvaged items. What I didn't see was the number of lost items. So I'm
Very minimal.
curious.
It was very minimal what we lost. They were able to save, we're hoping it's saved. We're waiting for it to come back to us to see. But we pulled pretty much everything out of, I think the only thing that we actually lost were some newspapers that, very, very old newspapers. They weren't even cataloged. They had been gifted to us years ago.
Yeah.
But other than that, we actually pulled almost everything from that collection. So really what we lost from the Louisiana collection was just furniture, shelving, things like that.
That's good, because I know a lot of those items are irreplaceable.
Yeah, I actually had a staff member the day after the storm who texted me and said, can I go in and get the Louisiana room collection? I'll go get it. And I said, let me check and make sure that it's safe to go in the building.
Right.
So our staff was amazing through this, though.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Benedict. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Okay, next on our agenda, 2022-0066, Parish President's Remarks and Report. Mr. Jewell. Mr. President, can I hold you up for a second?
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, Mr. Dufresne, I didn't see you wanted to speak.
No, I needed to talk to Michelle.
Oh, okay. All righty. Thank you, Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. First, I want to start off with planning and zoning report. So for permits and fees, as you recall, the council suspended all fees related to Hurricane Ida damage. The deadline for the Hurricane Ida-related permitting fee waivers was February 28th. So residents and businesses in need of permits or repairs and renovations related to Hurricane Ida damage must contact the Planning and Zoning Department by emailing permits@stcharlesgov.net or calling 985-783-5060. So nothing else changes. They can still apply in the same ways for the permits, just that the temporary waiving of the fees has expired from the council's ordinance. Just some statistics on last year. Planning and zoning issued 4,702 permits in 2021, which was more than 4 times the number that we did in 2020. And approximately 4,400 of the 4,702 were related to Hurricane Ida. So we did see a large uptick in people getting these permits for storm damage. So just as a reminder, permits are needed for roofs, framings, anything electrical, plumbing, accessory buildings, demolitions, and if you are registering an RV to occupy while your home is being repaired, we are still doing that as well. And the purpose of that RV registration is just, again, to make sure that it is hooked up properly and that your sewer cleanouts and everything aren't going into the ditch instead of your actual sewer cleanout in your yard. Moratorium on subdivisions. The moratorium also expired at the end of February, and or at least through the end of February, Planning and Zoning was not taking any new subdivision application requests. So during the moratorium, the following changes were made. I know the council remembers this, but I'll just say it one more time. We did a complete reworking of the major subdivision process. We addressed resident concerns about drainage and traffic. An ordinance was implemented to address adjacent lot runoff protections. We added traffic impact analysis for both major subdivisions and commercial construction. Updates to our wastewater construction and review standards were established, and we implemented a parish-wide comprehensive drainage and sewage study. Over onto Public Works, and kind of in a transition, but also related to my previous just update on planning and zoning, the master drainage plan update. Phase 1 of both the East and West Bank plans have been completed, and results have been shared with the council. The areas covered by Phase 1 include AMA, Hawnvilles 1 and 2, Muntz, Norco, New Sarpy, and Ormond. Projects have been identified from the results of those studies, and engineering projects are being developed to address needs in those areas. We are also going to be doing public meetings as well to go and share in the individual, what I could say, the individual watersheds to the residents, instead of holding one large town hall where we have to sit there and go through each watershed and residents have to wait to hear what is important to them. We plan to get out into the community and speak with them. So right now, our initial format would be Hawnville 1 and 2 as a meeting, AMA as a meeting, and then we would have Muntz and Norco together, as well as New Sarpy and Ormond together as 2 separate meetings. The completion of Phase 1 and Phase 2, and as we are complete, Phase 1, Phase 2 is now underway, and our council authorized that in August of 2021. The phase includes Luling/Luling I-310, Mimosa and Willowdale, and on the East Bank, St. Rose, Diane Place, Bar None, Turtle Pond, and Almedia. So the consultants for these areas are currently collecting data and building that hydraulic model. At this time, principal engineering has completed Muntz, Norco, New Sarpy on the East Bank, as well as Ormond, and they are working, I guess specifically to that, they're working on our Louisiana Watershed Initiative applications for 2 projects in Ormond. So they're working with the grants office on that. And then the parish is also analyzing in months potential route for water from St. John Parish to run off via gravity drainage through the location of the existing Prescott pump station. So this would be something that we implement after the pump stations in months that are under design and being permitted right now are completed. And the goal is to remove ourselves from pumping water in St. John. Currently, as it exists, we pump nearly 600 to 700 acres of water in St. John. So I think it's vitally important that we remove that, and we actually believe as long as the model comes back and says so, that it would actually be an improvement for that water as well, because the pipes underneath Airline Highway can actually flow more water than is being currently pumped there. The remaining 5 East Bank watersheds, Almedia, St. Rose, Turtle Pond, Bar None, started in September and are on schedule. Calibration of the models will be completed in April. 3 are current and 2 are expected to run this month. Modeling of those improvements is expected, the completed modeling of those is expected sometime midsummer. On the West Bank, T. Baker Smith has been working to gather data for Mimosa, Willowdale, and Luling, and has completed the existing condition model as far as much as possible with that current data. Once the existing condition model is finalized, they will present the data to us with modeling improvements and final reports to follow. Once phase 2 is complete, phase 3 will follow on the West Bank, which will include, on the East Bank, which will include a couple of small watersheds that aren't very populated, and on the West Bank would include Bayou Gauche, Des Allemands, and Paradis. Next, we have the AMA pump station. So I believe at the last, or either 2 council meetings ago, the parish council authorized the ordinance for to accept the low bid for the AMA pump station improvements, which will add 2 additional 36-inch pumps and bar screen improvements. This is a project out of the master plan. It was modeled inside the master plan when we had them model it. So as you see the picture, you see to the right of the photo there, that's where those 2 new pumps will go, and you will have new bar screen cleaners like the ones you see there added as well. This is going to add significant pumping capacity to this station, and it's going to provide some redundancy in case one of the other pumps were to fail. So in larger rain events, you'll see all 4 of those pumps running, which we hope will help with some of the drainage in AMA. Additionally, the projects that we're looking at doing as a part of our Go Mesa bond would be complementing of that, which are the improvements of the canals and of the primary and secondary canals that feed that station. Okay, on the bulkhead, we recently awarded the contract, as the parish council knows, for the Des Allemands bulkhead, and that work is beginning in early April. Tonight, you will vote on an amendment as the design of the emergency repairs was initiated under the current professional services agreement with All South Engineers. The amendment will cover the permanent repairs to the bulkhead on down the Bayou Road. Parish signs, public works crews, and a parish contractor recently gave our welcome to St. Charles Parish signs a facelift by repainting, refreshing them for everybody entering our parish. This, quite frankly, was long overdue. These signs were installed several years ago, and the sun and weather had definitely taken their toll on it, so we're glad to have them repainted and looking nice and fresh. We'll go over to Ida Sheltering. We pulled out St. Charles Parish's numbers on this. So St. Charles Parish has 493 trailers from the state deployed. Keyword there, the state. FEMA is also deploying trailers as well. 557 are leased in. So remember, units leased in mean that the resident has the key and is able to get in to the trailer. So there's a little bit less than a 45% deficit, 45 trailer deficit there in the number of deployed and leased. The RPM site is completely full at 70 trailers. And you can see above there that statewide they have deployed 5,002 trailers and they've leased in 4,527. And then total survivors sheltered statewide is 12,951. Total registrations is 18,012. Not all of those 18,012 are going to get a trailer, but those are the people who at least applied. Registration for Ida Sheltering has closed. Those who have registered and still need assistance can still call Ida Sheltering's number at 1-844-268-0301, or they can log into their registration at idasheltering.com or request an in-person visit. We'll go next. Last week, the parish held a town hall on risk rating 2.0. First, we want to thank Congressman Graves, who attended that meeting, as well as a representative from FEMA, their liaison, Gilbert Giron. But we hosted this town hall meetings in an effort to start to bring to light some of the issues that we've been seeing with Risk Rating 2.0. We had over 100 people there and over 100 people watching online. We are currently playing repeats or the recording of that town hall event on St. Charles Parish's channel. It's still posted on Facebook as well for residents to watch. But Cox Channel 6, UVerse Channel 99, it's running daily at noon, 4 p.m., 8 p.m., or 9 p.m., depending on the meeting schedules, or online at scptv.com on demand. All right, our Veterans Memorial Plaza. First, I want to direct your attention to the picture on the right, which is sort of the foundation of our Veterans Memorial Plaza. It is commencing through its scheduled project, and you can see there that they're about to lay some of the foundation for the entrance to the Veterans Memorial Plaza. What you can't see is all the way on the far end of that is is kind of an arch-shaped slab where this monument will go. I'm sorry, I don't have it in the presentation, but this is the Gold Star Family Memorial. You've probably heard me talk about this a couple of times. This is a $50,000 memorial just by itself. It's to recognize families who have lost loved ones in combat or overseas for various conflicts. And currently, the only one that exists in Louisiana is at the state capitol. I am happy to announce that the family of the late Wilton Hugh, a VFW member at our local VFW hall, Post 3750, his family donated the $50,000 today to secure this memorial. So there will be the memorial, and there will be a memorial bench to match that will be black granite, and the family's name will be displayed on that bench. So we can't thank the Hugh family enough. Wilton Hugh recently passed away. He was a veteran of the United States Navy and served in the Korean War. He also attained recognition locally as a Bronze Legacy Life member of the VFW from his many years of dedicated service to the VFW. The donation, again, is going to go towards the Gold Star Family Memorial, and we look forward to dedicating it. It will be the only the second memorial of its kind in the state of Louisiana, and it'll be right here in St. Charles Parish. So we're very proud of that, and we look forward to the completion of this memorial. All right, next we have Mardi Gras. Just a recap of Mardi Gras. We have the crew of Louisville and the crew of Des Allemands, which ran on the 26th and 27th of February, and everybody passed a good time. Both of our royalties and our grand marshals and parade chaplains did such a great job making sure that the festivities went on without a hitch. All right, Trash Bash 2022. Thank you for everybody who came out and helped us bash some of the trash in St. Charles Parish. It's definitely noticeable when you see where people were working, the difference that just a few hours of picking up trash makes. And this was one of our larger years. We had 400 participants. And after we totaled all of the bags of trash that were collected, this is separate from the tires and the bumpers and everything else that was collected separately, just bags of trash. We collected 583 bags of trash at the 14th annual Trash Bash. So a big thank you for all who came out and got involved in this, including Valero, our Sheriff Greg Champagne, who had our inmates out there working, Shell Norco, Arkema, the Rotary Club, River Birch, Wetland Watchers. We had the Pelicans dance team, the Saints cheer crew, DJ Fish was out there. We also had Cajun Comfort, who was participating as well. And we thank our council members who participated as well. At Trash Bash, we had our future trash contractor, which is River Birch, and effective May 1st, River Birch Renewable Energy will be the new solid waste contractor, and the parish opted for a hybrid system consisting of fully automated trucks and semi-automated trucks. At Trash Bash, River Birch showed off one of their trucks, and you can see here that this is one of the automated trucks, so it will pick up the trash can and put it right back down in the exact same place it picked it up. It's actually incredible to see it work because if you remember the old systems that they used to have, they were very clunky and generally was very rough on the can. This one was very gentle. It actually weighs the can as it picks it up, so it knows how much is going into the truck. A camera will capture its GPS location and the picture of the trash can. So if anybody calls and says their trash wasn't picked up, we'll be able to access that data and know exactly when the truck was there, what it picked up, how much it weighed, et cetera. These trucks move much more quickly and reliably. And what we're going to do is ask the residents to put as much of their trash in the trash cans as possible. And we're going to ask to make sure that their handles, if they're having an automated truck come down their street, that the handles of their trash can face their house. If you actually look at the top of your trash can, it does have an arrow that points the direction of the trash can, of what the trash can is supposed to be facing. So we're looking forward to this. We're actually going to have some more videos coming out. River Birch is producing a video that's going to go out to the residents in the next couple of months. We're also going to have some information going out in the water bills to make sure that residents are prepared for May 1st when the change happens. On sales tax, in January, we collected $3,438,056.19, which represents an 8.04% increase, which compared to January 2021, which is an increase of $255,756.96. Okay, job openings, animal control officer, carpenter, equipment operator 1, 2, 3, and 4, grass cutter, groundskeeper, laborer, pump technician helper, and shop mechanic helper. Lastly, on Wednesday, March 9th, I will be testifying at the Select Committee on the Climate Crisis to discuss ways the federal government can support state and local governments as we have efforts to battle coastal erosion, build levees, and basically build a more resilient Louisiana. The theme of this meeting is resilience, and that's what we'll be talking about. Louisiana is a very resilient state. We have some of the most resilient people that you'll ever meet. But as we know, that some of the policies coming out of Washington, like Risk Rating 2.0, like the hurdles that we have to jump through to build levee protection, or the crazy environmental standards that we have to do to do coastal restoration, basically putting our coast back the way it's supposed to be, is delaying and driving up costs for us to do that. So I look forward to doing that, and I yield back the remainder of my time that I don't have any left. I've been watching committee testimony, that's why it's in my head.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ms. Gordon.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions. The parish signs, so where are we with street signs?
So we have, I think we have two sign crews, okay? I think it's 4 people total. They have been going around and fixing signs. There's a big backlog of those signs. A lot of signs were messed up. As I see them, I send them to Public Works, and that could be just a sign that's leaning or a sign that's completely missing. Miles, can we get Ms. Lysandra an update on where we are with signs?
Yes, we can. And one thing to note is we went in and did signs like stop signs first because they were safe for safety issues, and we're going back and picking up the rest of the signs as we go along. So I will get an update for you and pass that to the whole council.
Okay, all righty. Thank you. Second question is watershed. Where does Booty fall in? Because I heard Luling, but which Luling? Old Luling?
You caught me off guard on that one. So Louisiana, St. Charles Parish is in 3 separate watershed districts. Muntz is kind of in one. The rest of the East Bank is kind of another. Part of the West Bank is one. And there's another one. Miles, do you know off the top of your head which region it is? I can find it, probably Googling
I know
here.
that Willow Ridge is with Willowdale. I think Booty is partially in with Mimosa and partially, because you have Old Luling that comes down and Booty is into that. So it's in that same general area. So I think it's going to be picked up in our watershed there. But I'll double check that for you.
Oh, you were talking about Watershed Initiative, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll try to find something for you here online.
Okay, and one more question. River Birch, how are they going to handle the cans that are marked handicap? Because normally what's happening there, that the hopper is bringing it back to the door.
Yeah, so that's a discussion that I had with Gus Bordelon, who actually brought that, because that was a concern of mine too with the automated trucks. Gus Bordelon, who works for River Birch, actually brought that service to St. Charles Parish when he was working previously for a different company. So my understanding is that when those cans are marked, and I think they have a list within their system as well, so they know when they get to that house to lift that can, hop out of the truck, bring it back to the house, or go get it from the house, bring it, dump it, and bring it back. So that was one thing that I wanted to make sure it wasn't going to change if we had a new contractor, and that should be taken care of.
Ms. Fonseca.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Also, a couple of trash collection questions. I know a lot of people are wondering what's the plan for the trash that cannot be fit in the cans, so I thought you might want to mention that.
It's a take-all contract, so we are encouraging residents to put as much in the can as they can. Obviously, there's a benefit for not only the resident, if they can fit everything in the can, it gets picked up quicker, and there's a benefit for River Birch because they can pick up faster. If there are things that are outside of the can, there will be a chase truck later that, on the same day, that follows and picks up anything that's outside of the can. It's important that that residents, when they're putting the bags or whatever debris or trash in their trash can, it's okay if the lid isn't sitting flat. The lid can kind of sit up if you have that last bag where you can't close it, but you can't sit anything on top of a closed lid. That becomes a problem when that truck comes and grabs it. Additionally, we'll be putting out some more information around that, as well as not sitting your trash can next to your mailbox, which you don't want to grab both of those at the same time.
And you mentioned the handle needs to go
Towards the house. So we're
towards
gonna.
the house, right.
Yeah, handles to house.
I thought you said
We-
to the street, but it was actually pictured differently, so.
Yeah, well, on that, yeah. So imagine the community center as the house in that photo, but yeah, handles to house. And I actually looked, I have a Pelican trash can, and I actually looked at it the other day, and it does have an arrow on the top of it, and it says this side to the street, and it's pointing to the front of the trash can. So if you follow the directions on top of the lid, you should have your handles to your house. And there will, look, like everything else, there will be a little bit of learning curve. I talked to Archie Chasson Lafouche. He said, for a couple of months, there was a learning curve. Same thing with the West Bank of Jefferson Parish. They went through a little bit of learning curve, but everything looks to be working good.
Thank you.
Mr. Dufresne.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Streetlights.
Yo, yes, sir. I thought I was gonna squeak by without having to give a streetlight update. So, I'm not the only elected official who's been on Entergy about this. The sheriff has weighed in with Entergy as well, and because obviously with the lack of streetlights comes the possibility for additional crime in certain areas. I've heard from all of the council members on specific areas that are especially dark, and what we are doing is trying to focus Entergy's attention to areas that have the most streetlights out. Areas like Norco that were hit really hard, areas like St. Rose and Mimosa and Hawnville. Right now, I can tell you that there are 1,700 streetlights, at least from their assessment, 1,700 that are out completely, just not working, and there are 500 that are just completely missing. That could be either that the streetlight was knocked off during the storm, or that when the pole was replaced, obviously they didn't reattach the streetlight. So through our GIS system, they have all of those locations, and they're marked, so they've done their assessment. It's just really getting them to move much more quickly than they are. They put out an RFP at the beginning of January, and I know Pike, there's two companies, contractors that are working on them. One of them is Pike Electric. You've probably seen those crews out. So as Pike is releasing crews, Entergy is picking them up and putting them to work on streetlights. So I'm hoping to get a better update. Originally, they were thinking by the end of March. Now it's looking somewhere in Q2 before the streetlights are complete. I should also mention, because I know I've put this out on Facebook several times, that if when we updated the streetlights, replace them, that we would replace them with LEDs. That is true for our parish metal poles that we have control over. every one that we could. We've replaced with an LED, which is much more reliable, uses a lot less electricity, which is good for the parish. But on the metal poles, we actually pay a flat fee. On the wooden poles, we actually pay a flat fee to Entergy. That fee encompasses the electricity, and it encompasses them going out and making the repairs and replacements. Unfortunately, and I'm not sure why this is, a LED bulb, which we know is more efficient and much more reliable, is actually $11 per month more, per light more. We did not want to go ahead and change all of those out and kind of take that big spike when you have 1,700 poles that are out. So what we're going to do, and because we know this is the way that that these lights are going, high-pressure sodium bulbs are harder to find. The ballasts go out all the time. We're going to work with the Public Service Commissioner to try to flip that pricing around to actually incentivize the LED replacement and not disincentivize it. So will be more information to come on that.
And the people who have what they call night watchmen, like they pay energy, those people are still getting charged, and most of them call me and still don't have lights,
Yeah, I'm one of those people as well. And what I would do is make sure that they report that to Entergy that their night watchman light is out, and they shouldn't be assessed a charge for that. I think it's like $12 a month.
There's a lot of people who have them, and it's still they
Yep.
call energy every other day, and they're not getting anywhere with it.
Okay. Let me see what I can, if I can talk to our contact at Entergy and let them know that we have a lot of people with night watchman lights out and see if there's anything that they can do to credit those folks back, because, they shouldn't be paying, and I have to check my bill, but they should not be paying for a light that isn't working on their property.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Jewell. Ordinance resolutions introduced for publication, public hearing, Monday, March 21st, 2022, 6 p.m., council chambers, courthouse in Hanville. 2022-0060, 2022-0061, 2022-0062, 2022-0063, 2022-0064, 2022-0068. The following copies have been made and placed at your seats. 2022-0069, 2022-0070, 2022-0071. Ordinance is scheduled for public hearing introduced at a previous meeting. 2022-0030, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with All South Consulting Engineers, LLC, to perform engineering services for the automated meter reading installation program, project number WWKS 106, not to exceed $414,093. Mr. Gordon.
Good evening. So the ordinance concerns a professional services agreement with All South Consulting Engineers to provide consulting services for the automated water meter installation program. All South will assist the Department of Waterworks with bid development, advertisement, the award of the construction contract, and All South will also provide services for construction administration, system network planning, coordination, and resident inspection. The proposal for the eventual installation contractor will perform the installations over a 3-year period, installing approximately 4,000 meters this year in 2022, 5,000 meters in 2023, and 5,000 meters in 2024. So they would be obviously being overseeing that contract and that installation work. So a couple of things. One is, the total goal of this program. We have a lot of meters. We have 22,000 plus meters. About 18,000 of them are manually read at this time. So what we're going to do is, over the course of this program, is to change them all to automatic read meters, so we can get away from all the potential human error with reading, rereading, all the fun stuff that goes along with that, and the time it takes with all the different cycles we have to have. We can maybe, hopefully, once this all gets implemented, maybe whittle down some of the billing to the point where maybe it's only once or twice a month. I know some customers don't like the fact that it switches around a couple of times during the year, that sometimes that can cause some aggravation. Also, the idea behind having All South do this is that this is a big investment for the parish. We want to make sure that it's all done correctly because there's a lot of integration between the new meters, our billing system, making sure that every meter, the serial number it has, the GPS coordinates for that meter, all are correct. We have a lot of work that the department does on a daily basis and already have a number of capital projects, plus about $3.2 million in damages to the facilities from Hurricane Ida that the staff is dealing with. So having the professional service help of All South would basically help us get this project moving and get it to the point where we can trust that it's all done correctly. Also, one of the group that Pedal Valve currently helped us, we had issued a PO to kind of do a trial run. We installed recently 1,586 meters, new meters, and 538 radio meters, the registers that failed on them. They were the automatic read meters that we already have, mainly in the Norco area. So we popped those registers off and changed those registers. It went very well. It went pretty smooth. But in the long run, we need to have a contract, a bid. We need to make sure that it's all done in that way because we want to be able to hold a price for 3 years, hopefully, because we get the meters in batches. We don't have every meter at one time. We have to buy them in batches because obviously they have to get manufactured, and that takes a long time. And water meters are at a scarcity currently. So with that, I hope you have any questions. Thank you.
File number 2022-003 is now open for public hearing. Does anyone like to speak and come up regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have several questions. In regarding to this, is this the engineer we've used for the previous automatic read meters that were installed?
No, I don't think we didn't have an engineer, at least, obviously, during my tenure, we have not had an engineer do this. And I don't know if there was an engineer that previously oversaw the actual installations.
Okay. In regarding to these meters, we're going to install 14,000. You already have, how many you said? 1,500?
We recently put in 1,586 and 538 registers were changed out.
All right, are the meters all going to be coming from the same company, or are you buying meters from different
They're going to be
companies?
Allegro master meters.
So they're all
So it is
basically
one meter, one specific meter.
And this is only for the engineering for the 3 years?
Yes, ma'am.
And the
It's only for the
installation.
engineering. It's not a bid. Obviously, we'll have a bid for the installs with a price and everything along those lines.
Is
for
it going to be the same
installation.
meters that we have already, or is this?
That are currently have some automatic read meters, about 2,000. Yes, it'll be basically, we are going to be through the whole system, have those new meters. Plus, during that project, during the course of the project, we will be installing a base station, most probably at the EOC tower. We've talked to the EOC about this already, and a number of repeaters throughout the parish that will bring because the signals have to go from the meter to the infrastructure to the base station.
Did you have any problem with the meters that are already installed with?
No, we actually, it was very smooth. It's gone very well. We had very few problems. The system did, at least the installation part of it. We haven't gotten to the point yet where it's going to a base station. Currently, those meters read to a drive-by laptop computer that the staff uses.
And who decides if the meter's not working right? I mean, I know the resident can complain, they're getting overcharged. I'm sure they're not going to complain because they're undercharged. But who would decide if the meter's not working right? There's no way to monitor, is there?
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's still physically in the ground. You can see if it's not operating properly, especially if there's a number of ways to look at the way that a meter doesn't operate properly. One is, you can look at the course of the readings and the usage. If the customer doesn't doesn't have any leaks, nothing extraordinary happened during that time. We typically, and with the age of the meters only last about 15 years at the
That
most.
was going to be my next question.
So
How-
if those
what's the
are
life
old, yes,
expect-
we replace them.
And you mentioned leaks. Will a leak trigger an alert that?
So this is what our hope is that, so once we have the meters installed and the system is up and running, the master meter actually has a platform that we will utilize, and so customers can be able to see their information in real time. It's going to be a big improvement. It's going to be a lot of transparency relative to the usage of the customer. They'll be able to see by hour how much water they're using, and be able to go see the past days, what happened. If they really did have a leak, what was that usage? So they will know on their upcoming bill that potentially that's going to be an issue, and they can start to work with us on a leak adjustment, amongst other things.
All right, thank you.
All right?
Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a few questions. I noticed 4,000 meters beginning in this year, and then another 6,000 over the next 2 years. Would that complete?
Another 10, yeah, 14,000 total.
Okay, have you already, that's 10. So have you already done
Four-
4, or?
So hopefully do 4,000 this year, 5,000 the year after, and 5,000 the year after.
Okay, well, then the scope needs to be updated. Because that was one of my questions, if the scope is all-inclusive of the installation. Attachment B?
Yeah, so the one thing is about that is that, in terms of like the resident inspection and the a number of meters, a lot of that's going to be dependent on how many meters we're actually able to acquire. So in terms of their fixed costs, their lump sum costs about doing the design work, the bid work, the advertisement, that stuff, and getting the contractor under contract, that is the lump sum. The other, and I'll change those.
That's not my question. I
Okay.
just want to make sure that this contract is correct.
Okay.
For the 14,000 meters, is what the total cost covers the whole 14,000?
Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying, ma'am.
That's something that I can.
Yeah, and the other thing too is I might have actually turned in the administrative comment
We can
prior
correct that
to
here,
this.
if you like. I'll make a motion. What would you like it to read?
Well, actually, the 4,000 in 2022, 6,000, 2023, and 2024.
6,000 in 2023, and another 4,000 in
6,000 in 2024.
I'm sorry. Can you say that again, please?
Let's see, so what, there's, in the copy of the contract that I have in attachment B, I know that
It's
some.
page 76. Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure we're correct on
Okay, yeah,
how
you
you'd
can,
like it.
this, that'd be fine.
I'm sorry, can you repeat how
Well,
many
currently,
each
the
year?
form of the contract I has installing approximately 4,000 meters beginning in 2022, 6,000 meters split between 2023 and 2024.
Do you just want the 6,000 to say 10,000?
Yes, that'd be fine.
Would that work?
Also, on the attachment A, it appears that it says owner estimates approximately 10,000 meters to install. So that would also have to be changed on page 75.
Okay, so attachment B, I'm making a motion that we change the project schedule wording to be 4,000 meters beginning in 2022 and 10,000 meters split between 2023 and 2024. And then, Mr. Oob, where is the other change? Page
Page 75, attachment A.
75, okay.
Third line down, owner estimates approximately 10 should be changed to 14.
Okay, so attachment A, second paragraph, second line, we're changing estimates approximately 10,000 meters to install to 14,000. Does that complete the amendments that need to be made? Okay. I have more questions, but if we need to vote on the motion now, then.
Okay, I have a motion by Ms. Fonseca, second by Ms. Billings to amend attachment A to replace 10,000 to the number of 14,000 meters, to amend attachment B, to amend it to say 10,000 meters split between 2023 and 2024. Is that correct? Okay. Cast our votes to amend it, and then we have to open it up for public hearing again, right?
Yes, Michelle.
Michelle, we have to have a motion? Okay, okay. All righty, 2022-0030, ordinance approving authorization and execution of professional services agreement with All South Consulting Engineers, LLC, to perform the engineering services for the automated reader meeting installation program, project number WWKS 106, not to exceed $414,093 as amended, Schedule A and Schedule B. Is there anyone, I'm sorry, is out for public hearing. Does anyone like to come up and speak on this amendment? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for a record, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, is there any council discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, please cast your votes on the amendment. Okay, that motion passes with 7 yeas, and Councilman Gibbs and Cormier out. All righty. Okay. So we have some more council discussion. We have to have a vote first. We have to have the vote first?
Right. No,
No, then we go back to council discussion, correct?
that would be final, right? Then we have more okay. So, just continuing on with my questions. The actual meter purchases, is that budgeted in your capital improvements? I don't have my budget book handy, but over the years?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And the other thing that comes to mind is the cost savings on this. So does installing these meters eliminate the need for meter reader positions?
It will, it'll, probably what will happen is, as the installations take place and the system gets up and running, and is viable, remember, we have to get it up and running and making sure everything's okay while we have the other system running. As that time, we'll probably be able to whittle down our meter readers or reassign them probably to field distribution crews. They already go with the distribution crews. They rotate, so they know how to deal with leaks and other works when there's call-outs. So we would probably move them towards the distribution crews. Now, unfortunately, that doesn't mean everyone's going to pay their bill on time. There'll still be disconnects and shut-offs and things of that nature in the field that meter readers would still have to go and deal with on a daily basis.
Well, I'm just curious if, and you may not have, but did anyone look at how many years it will take to recoup the cost of this in savings? Do you know?
So part of what happens when meters get old is they become inaccurate. And most of the time, they become inaccurate by undercounting water. So part of what will happen with these new meters is, A, it will give the residents the ability to take their water consumption into their own hands, like Greg said. So they'll be able to get online, see exactly what they're using hour by hour. B, what will happen is we will have a more accurate account of how much water is actually being used, because these meters are much more accurate than the older meters that are in the ground now. So there will be an improvement in the amount of consumption that we're able to accurately record.
That's all from me. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
Ms. Gordon?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Gordon, the 10,000 meters, is this including residential and commercial customers?
So it's residential, commercial, and industrial customers.
Okay. And
And for the larger industrial meters and commercial meters, we're going to acquire those meters ourselves and install them ourselves.
okay. So the meters that were placed in Narco, are we extending the contract, or it's a different?
That was done under a one-time purchase order.
Okay, all righty. Okay, so you answered the other ones that I had. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Billings.
Thank you, Councilman. Chairman, sorry. A question I have is, will these meters be located in the same area as the other meters, so they'll be in the ground?
Yes,
and
exact same
won't
spot
have
as the
to get
existing
access
meters.
from the
Yes.
homeowners? All right, thank you. And another question I have there is, will there be any increase to residents' water bills as a result of this acquisition? Nothing like that?
No, actually, it's not tied to any kind of rate increase or anything like that.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0030 as amended. And that motion passes with 7 yeas. 2022-0036, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with DRC Emergency Services, LLC, for storm debris removal and recovery 2021. Project number P210801. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. This is not a renewal, but would be a new contract for DRC Emergency Services. And their contract expired after I guess their original contract was extended, and then it has expired. Parish put out an RFP, and we would like to go back with DRC.
File number 2022-0036 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What does PPDR stand for?
Private property debris removal.
And what is the percentage that the parish pays and what FEMA pays?
90-10.
All right, thank you.
Not in that order.
All right.
Yeah, we got the 10.
Yes,
Any further council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0036. And that motion passes with 7 yeas. 2022-0037, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with Debris Tech LLC for storm debris monitoring, 2021, project number P210802. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. Just kind of following on with our emergency debris removal. This is our emergency debris monitor. Debris Tech is currently our monitor. We think they've been doing a very good job, and we'd like to offer them a new contract with the parish.
File number 2022-0037 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Cooley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Is the percentage split the same for this contract also?
I would have to check. One second. Oh, you talking about the 90-10? Yes, yes.
All right, thank you.
I was thinking something in the contract.
Please cast your votes for 2022-0037. And that motion passes with 7 yeas. 2022-0038, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a contract with River Birch Renewable Energy, LLC, for storm debris disposal 2021, project number P210803. Mr. Jewell.
Thank you, Chairman. As just a part of another pre-positioned emergency contracts, River Birch is who we send our emergency storm debris to, and they will be getting it again this year.
File number 2022-0038 is now open for public hearing. Is there anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item? Please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Cooley?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a different question. Are these renewed at the same rates as what we were paying for the original contract?
I don't have the exact rates in front of me. I think they are a little bit different.
Yeah, everybody submitted new rates for this year on these contracts.
Okay, so this is an extension,
It's a brand-new contract.
okay, brand-new contract, but we're using the same vendors
Yes,
with the previous contracts. That'll expire March 31st. These new ones will take effect April 1st, but it's at new rates.
yes.
But Mike, if they're still working under, if they're still working under the current job, they're under the old rates.
Correct.
Correct. So any continuation of the debris removal that they're doing now is still under the old rates.
Well, this says it's for 2021, which would be last year's.
But FEMA's looking at FEMA's going to be looking at our contract when the storm happened. That was my understanding of it. So these new rates aren't going to supersede, like if they're still picking up debris in April, these new rates aren't going to supersede the original contract.
So it will be at the old rate.
Correct.
Thank you.
The rates during the time of the disaster.
Any other council discussion? Please cast your votes for file number 2022-0038. And that passed with 7 yeas. 2022-0055, an ordinance approving an authorizing the execution of a professional services contract extension to ordinance number 17-2-9 between St. Charles Parish and St. Charles Mosquito Control LLC for mosquito control services for an additional 5 years, April 2022, ending March 31st, 2027. Mr. Bingham.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just an extension with existing rates of the mosquito control contract that's been in effect for 5 years. Everything is the same, and it's just an extension. We would appreciate your support. Thank you.
Okay. File number 2022-005 is now open for public hearing. If there is anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0055. And that motion passes with 7 yeas. 2022-0056, an ordinance approving and authorizing execution of Amendment Number 1 to Ordinance Number 21-8-13, which approved the professional services agreement with All South Consulting Engineers, LLC, to perform engineering services for the DeSalmons Bulkhead, Parish Project Number P210601. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On August 24th, 2021, the St. Charles Parish Council approved a contract, a professional service agreement with All South Engineers for the bulkhead in DeSalmons. That was for a permanent bulkhead. Then we were hit right after that with Hurricane Ida, which severely damaged the wooden face planks on the DeSalmons bulkhead. I think everyone's heard enough about how much damage we had down there, but that's the integrity of that bulkhead has been severely impacted. We met with representatives from FEMA, NRCS, CPRA, and the state to discuss a path forward to fund the emergency repairs for this bulkhead. Following approval by FEMA for emergency repairs, the design of the emergency repairs were initiated under the current professional engineering services agreement with All South Consulting Engineers, LLC. What we're trying to do here is reestablish what we needed to do in that contract. So we are adding engineering services for the design of the emergency bulkhead in sort of retroactive. We were using the original contract and the money in it, so we're replacing that. That is the $166,550. That was the design work. There's also a reduction, since we will use some of that engineering for the permanent repair of about $34,940. We reduced the permanent repair design fees. We also have added some supplemental services. One thing we had intended to do on the permanent repairs was utilize some of the existing data that we had. When we evaluated that after the storm and going into the emergency repairs with federal funding, we determined that we could not use that data to the extent we thought, so we needed to add some additional surveying to be more exacting. We also had to do some more geotechnical work, particularly since we had an emergency repair which is designed a little bit differently than the permanent repair from a geotechnical standpoint. So we added supplemental services for those two items. And then we also added $120,000 for resident inspection for the emergency bulkhead project, which has already been bid and will start construction, as Mr. Jewell said, in April. That total change in supplemental services was $190,628. So the total, after you add everything up, was $322,238. We would appreciate your support of this amendment. Thank you.
File number 2022-056 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since this engineering contract was awarded right before the storm, was any of it performed since?
There was no expense on the contract itself before the storm. The services did start after the storm. When we realized we had the emergency, we went straight ahead with the survey and the geotechnical work that we needed. So those were done based on what we had in the existing contract. As I said, we found that we needed additional services to come up to the federal standards and the fact that we couldn't use the information that we thought we already had. So that's why that change in the geotechnical and the survey services happened. But to answer your first question, no, we had not started the contract, but we did have the engineering money for the permanent repair there. We just used that for the temporary because we wanted to get that done very quickly.
Is this going to be a wooden bulkhead?
No, this will be a steel sheet pile.
The $35,000 that you're showing as a savings, is it really a savings, or is it just going to be included now in a different part of the fee arrangement?
It's a reduction we actually had in the original contract $360,120 for the design of the permanent bulkhead. We reduced that to $325,180. So it is a savings in that sense, but yes, it was sort of repositioned in another service.
It's just you're doing it.
It's math. It's the math. It's the math of what to make up what the actual increase is.
So the cost of the project, I mean, this is just engineering of it.
Yes.
I guess that's going to affect the cost of the project, construction. No?
It's not going to affect the emergency bulkhead, and we haven't gone far enough to really nail down what the permanent bulkhead will be. There are discussions right now with CPRA and FEMA and all those agencies as to what that final design will look like.
All right, thank you.
Any other council discussion? Okay, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0056. And that motion passes 7 yeas. 2022-0057, an ordinance approving and authorizing the execution of a professional services agreement with Crescent Engineering and Mapping LLC to perform engineering services for the King and Hahn Street drainage improvements, project number P220202, and the amount not to exceed $432,650,000. Mr. Bingham.
Thank you, sir. This is one of the first projects out of our master drainage plan. This project combines priority 1 and 2 in the West Bank Master Drainage Plan for Hanville 1 watershed. The existing system is in this area will be evaluated for a 25-year storm, and where needed, the capacity will be increased. The project will also develop a new outfall canal to the south, which may include a section of box culvert to avoid conflicts. The total cost of design, service, and preparation of the plans and specification is $230,000. The project will also include full topographic survey of the servitude and adjacent yards to locate all drainage features and the preparation of a map showing the surrounding ground elevations. Other supplemental services included in this agreement are property surveys, geotechnical, environmental, and supplemental permitting services. The total cost of these supplemental services is $202,650. As I said, the total cost is $432,650, and Public Works would appreciate your support of this ordinance because this is, as I said, one of our high priorities in our Hanville 1 watershed.
File number 2022-0057 is now open for public hearing. If there's anyone who would like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public hearing is closed. Ms. Gordon.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to just say thank you to the administration because this has been something that has been talked about for quite some time. So thank you to the administration for seeing Hahn, King Street, and in here also it had Julia as well. So, and I know the residents will definitely be happy to see some work being done. Thank you.
Mr. Jewell.
I just wanted to mention that this is a drainage master plan project for the Hanville 1 watershed. I don't know if you mentioned that or not.
Yes, I did.
Okay, I'm sorry.
And it's also part of the Go Mesa projects that we have said that we were going to do as well.
Ms. Cooley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Bingham, in this contract, there's $200,000 for surveying and permitting costs.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is together but separate from the engineering fees.
Correct.
Can you explain the high cost for this part of this?
Okay, so we have our normal topographic survey, which is the first number. We also have property surveys, which is actual, when we get to the property survey of any land that we have to take, we have to do a meets and bounds description, do the titles and all that stuff. So that's a second topographic survey cost. We have environmental, because when we get into the lower part of this drainage watershed, we're going to hit some environmentally sensitive property areas, so that will have to be mitigated. So that's the environmental services. And then permitting. Since we're developing a new outfall, we're going to have to do permitting to address the outfall through these areas. So that'll be permits with the Corps and with the DNR.
So is this just to get the water to the other side of the railroad track? Or is it to get it to a final outfall canal?
It will take it to, the outfall will be down towards, I believe this is the 40 Arpent Canal in this case, and then eventually under 3127. So we'll get it, it's going to go all the way. It's not going to just be, it'll go past the railroad tracks.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Bingham, this should roughly take 8 months? Is that what they're saying by that contract?
For the design, yes,
For the
yes, sir.
design, okay.
Some of the permitting and the environmental may take a little bit longer.
And this 432,000 is in your budget already, correct?
That's correct. We had anything that I bring in front of this council, we automatically do a financial check in my office before it will leave my office and be checked by the outside sources. So we always check that first.
And this project, its cost will be covered by Go Mesa
The construction
Phase 1
cost,
bond issue? This is one of our Go Mesa bond issue, right?
Yeah, we have two projects in the Hahnville area that we were looking to do. One of them will be either through Go Mesa, one of them will be through Go Mesa, and the other one will be through budgeted monies in the Hahnville 1 drainage improvements line item.
Just wanted to make sure. I thought we had said that. I just wanted to make sure. Ms. Fonseca?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Miles, and maybe Mr. Ube, the federal funding that is going to be used for this, the Go Mesa, requires that the acquisitions, or not the acquisitions, the offers made on these properties be handled, according to federal regulations. I just wanted to make sure that y'all have, I guess, are you hiring a contractor to handle that? Will that be done in-house legal, or? Okay.
I appreciate the feedback. Because we can definitely discuss on how to handle it going forward.
Yeah, anytime federal funding is involved in a project where land or property is acquired, very strict process that you have to go through legally to do it. So just wanted to bring that up. Thank you.
Okay. Any more council discussion? Okay, please cast your votes for file number 2022-0057. And that motion passes with 7 yeas. 2022-0031, a resolution endorsing a waiver from Appendix C, subdivision requirements of 1981, Section 3, Geometric Standards E, building lines as requested by Bunge North America Incorporated. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This application actually consolidates 37 separate lots into two. A waiver is required to finalize the plat. The department, as well as the Planning Commission, recommended approval. And if you have any questions, I'll be happy to assist.
File number 2022-0031 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name and address for the record. You have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Seeing none, please cast your votes on file number 2022-0031. And that motion passes with 7 yeas. 2022-0067, a resolution supporting rules for regular meetings of the St. Charles Parish Zoning Board of Adjustments. Mr. Albert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Both the Planning Commission and the Board of Adjustments are required to have their rules approved by the Parish Council through resolution in order to formalize them. The Planning Commission a few years back went through a similar process. We checked the records. We didn't have good records at the parish level of when that had been done, so we went ahead and sent it to the Planning Commission. They did their job. It went through council. Similarly, the Board of Adjustment did the same thing. We restructured the rules. Nothing is actually truly changing about how they operate. The change to the time was added in here. but the presentation structure is now formatted similar to the Planning Commission version. We worked with the board on these. They reviewed them. We recommend approval, as did the ZBA.
File number 2022-0067 is now open for public comment. If there's anyone who'd like to come up and speak regarding this item, please do so now. Please state your name, your address. For the record, you have 3 minutes to speak. Seeing none, public comment is closed. Any council discussion? Ms. Cluley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have a comment. Watching these meetings, oftentimes, especially when people were wearing masks during the meetings, they didn't always put their microphones on. You couldn't really understand what they were saying. And I don't know if there's going to be maybe a better effort that maybe could go forward to the commissioners when they are at a meeting to make sure that they do use their mics.
Yes, ma'am. Both with the council secretary and with the chairmans for the boards, we just did some training on the Granicus system, the importance of the microphones, and everything that you just said. So, yes, we are.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Just to echo what Ms. Cluley said, from experience, sometimes it's not often clear. So, I know losing Wendy's a big void, and there she was doing real good, but she was also very good at her job. So a detailed record, you could always go back and look. So again, I would say the same thing. Make sure that these boards understand the importance of using the microphones and the voting system, because it's going to be so much more vital to this with these rule changes.
Yes, sir.
So any other council discussion? Okay, please cast your votes for file number 2022-067. Motion passes unanimously with 7 yeas. 2022-0026, a resolution to appoint a member to the St. Charles Parish Planning and Zoning Commission as a District 3 representative. That will be deferred to the next meeting. 2022-0054, a resolution to appoint a member to the St. Charles Parish Library Board of Control as a District 6 representative. I'd like to have that deferred to the next meeting also. Meetings, announcements, notices, etc. Meetings, Community Action Advisory Board, Wednesday, March 9th, 2022, 5 p.m., Council Chambers. Communications District 911, Monday, March 14th, 2022, 5 p.m., Council Chambers. Library Board of Control, Tuesday, March 15th, 2022, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Board of Adjustment, Thursday, March 17th, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Pontchartrain Levy District, Monday, March 21st, 6 p.m., Pontchartrain Levy District, Headquarters Complex, 2069 Railroad Avenue in Letcher. St. Charles Parish Council, Monday, March 21st, 6 p.m., Council Chambers. Announcements. Important dates for the April 30th, 2022 School Board Special Election. Wednesday, March 30th, 2022 will be the last day to register to vote in person or by mail. Saturday, April 9th, 2022 will be the last day to register to vote online at govote.com. Tuesday, April 26th, 2022 will be the last day to request absentee ballots by mail. Early voting, Saturday, April 16th through Monday, April 18th, and Saturday, April 23rd, 2022, 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. The West Bank will be the Courthouse, 15045 River Road in Hahnville. The East Bank will be the Audiberry Building, 14564 River Road in New Sarpy. Friday, April 29th, 2022, the last day for register to receive voted absentee ballots. And Saturday, April 30th, 2022 will be the election day, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. A motion and a second is needed for us to adjourn. Motion by Ms. Billings, second by Ms. Gordon. Please cast your votes. we're officially adjourned at 7:40. Have a great evening.